Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whenever you are. Welcome to the community live stream. My name is Chuck Tomasi, Senior Developer Advocate at ServiceNow, and I am here to bring you information about fix scripts. Just checking to make sure the stream is working. It was not working earlier. It is spinning. There we go. We've got success. At least I'm seeing it on this screen over here. So thank you everybody in the chat room who's joined us on YouTube. You can find out more by going to that URL that is down below. Subscribe, like, turn on notifications. You know what to do. It's YouTube. You've been around for a while. We also do this on Twitch. If there are issues such as today on YouTube, you can find them there. So looks good. Thank you everybody in the chat room for letting me know there were some issues. So we've restarted and we've got it going. Not sure what was going on. Sometimes YouTube has crazy ideas. If you've got questions that go beyond today's topic, this is November 2nd, 2020. Our topic today is fix scripts. And if you've got questions that go beyond our fix scripts, please engage the community. There's lots and lots of people out there that are happy to help. It's a great community. Put things in the right sub-forum and away you go, okay? Be sure to clearly identify what your business requirement is, not just what you think the technical implementation is, and most people are very happy to help. I also invite you to go over to developer.servicenow.com. Real quick, free personal developer instance, running pairs, the latest release, blogs, events, videos, podcasts, all kinds of great information over at developer.servicenow.com, including meetups. We've got meetups around the world. There's 63 chapters, more than 23,000 people. You can attend these virtually. Lots of great information shared among developers of all events. Oh, I forgot to mention, on the developer portal, recent innovation, recent release has a big banner badge. Let's go there now. Developer.servicenow.com, and we have build your first app in minutes, that blue section right there that just came up. Invite your colleagues, even if they don't call themselves developers. Invite them, you know, the power user type that are making Excel macros and whatnot. Invite them to developer.servicenow.com and click this badge to get started. They will learn a lot of the no-code capabilities and how to create the app in a pace that fits them better. Or if you're new to the platform entirely, that's a great place to start as well. A lot of no-code capabilities you can take advantage of. Okay, back to where I was. Meetups. There's a couple coming up next week in Utah and Richmond. And this week, there is one for Europe, Middle East, and Africa, which I didn't see until earlier. That is coming up. I don't know if that's a new chapter or an amalgam, a conglomerate chapter, what's going on. So question about how do I get dynamic notifications from email address based on users, company trying since one. Great community question. We're covering fix scripts here today. So community.servicenow.com is where you want to head over and post that question. There will be a lot of great people. And you could also search. Maybe somebody's asked that question before. If I answered in the chat, not very searchable, not a great reference. So we're going to keep this on topic today with fix scripts. So appreciate that. So let's get started. Before I get started, real quick, reminder about Breakpoint podcast. Last week we covered Process Automation Designer and Playbook, 2 new features in Paris. Go over to bit.ly/sn-break-point. Got another episode every other Wednesday, so the 4th is going to be our off week, and then we'll have another one. And we've got content planned out for months and months. It's a lot of great stuff coming. We also have another Tech Now episode that I don't have a slide for. bit.ly/TN81Reg. We're going to be covering the other half of the Playbook conversation with Yaron Gez, our product manager. He is going to be talking to us about Playbook, the visualization of those process automation designers in Workspace. We will be covering a little bit of JavaScript today. If you're not familiar with JavaScript, I invite you to go over to bit.ly/sn-learn-js. Go get that information and bone up on your JavaScript. A lot of people have been watching this, a lot of great feedback. Thank you very much, and glad it's helpful. If you're looking for the code snippets that we will be doing today, you can find them in the GitHub repo that you see there, bit.ly/sn-cls. For that in a dated folder, today's date, I'll be publishing this right after the cameras stop rolling. If you want to go look in there, 2020-11-02 is where you're going to find the fix script for today. Very simple glide record insert operation. So still might make for a good example, or if you want to go back to any of the other videos in the past, sorry about that, they are all there back to, what was it, July of 2018 when somebody first asked me about that. Let's get started on fix scripts. So what is a fix script? Very well documented in here. A fix script allows you to run a script after an update or an installation of an application. So whether you do this through update sets or you do this through repo, you've got this capability. For example, if you created a field and you say, oh, that's the wrong data type, I meant to make that a date field or a reference field, or I need to change the data model from a reference field to a many-to-many combination. You can run this script rather than handing someone a JavaScript and saying, here, I ran this in dev, why don't you run this in scripts background in test or prod afterwards? That's prone to human error. You don't know exactly when they're going to run it, if it's going to get done right away, if they're going to inspect everything and they go, well, you got the wrong field type, or there's nothing in the date field, because a fix script eliminates all that. It's an automated way to do that in a very controlled fashion. And you've got a number of options of when to run that, how to run that. We'll cover that in just a second. So you either need admin role or you need this script under fix under admin. So pay attention to that role too. You don't necessarily need to give somebody admin role to have them create and maintain and run those fix scripts. If you're in production and you say, hey, I sent a fix script over, but it's not going to run automatically, run it at your time of choosing, you can grant them this role and they can run it. So fix scripts have been around for a very, very long time, longer than me, so that predates them to 2008. I think it was one of the early features that in the first 4 years of implementation that the platform has had them for a very long time. So it's not something new. You can find it in just about every release. I don't think this documentation page has changed very much over the years. Let's go through the procedure of what it is, how we might use it, and what it looks like. I have 2 instances here. One is my demo instance. I'm going to use that for my dev. And one is my UAT instance. I'll use that for testing. I'm not going to get anything involved in prod. And I have an application here called CLS Fix AR, and it has a table called vehicles. Now I have no vehicles in the table right now. You can see right here. This is, okay, this darker screen will be my dev instance. This lighter screen will be my UAT instance, my test instance. And I'm going to move some stuff between those. Let's go ahead and create a fix script. So you can do this in a number of ways. You can either go to System Definition Fix Scripts, which is down here, right? Can I tap into that? Right there, right? Or since I am in a scoped app, which I do most of my development in, I'm going to jump into Studio. Paris now allows you to do global development as well. Here is my application. I'll open that up, and you can see doesn't have a whole lot in it. It's got a table, it's got some form layout, some basic ACLs, and some navigation. I created this through Guided App Creator in about 10 minutes. So just so you don't freak out, I didn't want to make you watch me create a new app and table. In the table, I've got basic stuff like active, make, model, the source, maybe where it came from, and the year. Just simple application data, simple vehicle data model. I do not have a fix script, but what I'm going to do, our goal is to create a fix script that just basically does something. And running through my notes, let's go create one. So create application file. It's under server development fix script. But if you didn't remember that, you could always say fix. There it is. You can either click it, and down here there is a create button. But if you're lazy like me, you just double click it. It does the same thing. Is the diagonal demo banner behind you available in style from somewhere? That is a Chrome plugin. I get asked that a lot. That's a Chrome plugin called what is that called? Environment Marker. Look for Environment Marker as a Chrome plugin. You can tag that. I use that because a lot of my instances that I jump onto for demos and whatnot have the same theme. So this one is dark green. This one is light green. So I have one that's yellow. I have one that's black. You'll probably see those from time to time. My biggest problem is when I need to do a screen recording, I got to turn them off. that's a little annoying. So good question. That is just something as help you and help me tell these instances apart if the theme isn't working. Because if you're in Studio, theme doesn't carry over, right? Let's create this one, and I'm going to call this Create Vehicle. And we'll go through some of these field options together. So we have this field called Run Once. It's turned on by default. It allows you to, of course, run the fix script one and only one time. We go to the documentation. It says, select the checkbox to run the script on only one time. That's the default. The fix script is ignored for subsequent upgrades. So even though you may be pushing this over and over, it will only run once. Clear the checkbox to allow the script to run on every time the application is installed or upgraded. You may want this. You may need to reset dates or the last upgrade date or something. It's very rare. I haven't seen a use case for it yet, but you may want that. So there's the option of run it once, which is your typical default. Hey, I've changed a table. I need to enable a property, whatever it is. You can do that through your fix script and say no more. And most of mine that I've written are run once. Okay? It's enforced by the following mechanism. When a fix script is processed, a corresponding record is added to the sysupdate table. Sysupdate is right alongside the sysupdate, it's part of the update sets. In fact, I think that is the update set record, not the changes to the update set. That would be sysupdate XML. Excuse me. The upgrade process automatically skips fix scripts that are flagged as run once and have an entry in the sysupdate table. So it says, hey, I've imported this, I've run it, no more. Okay, that's that one. And we are going to run ours just once. Then we've got this unloadable, which defines as create a sysupdate XML record. If you're not familiar with how these tables go, sysupdate is the table full of updates. When you do an upgrade to your instance from Paris patch 0 to Paris patch 1, there's information in sysupdate. When you load an update set, there's information in sysupdate. And if I remember right, when you go to local update sets, these are sysupdate records. Oh, that's sysupdate set. Apologies. I got them mixed up. There's sysupdate, sysupdate set, and sysupdate XML. Sysupdate. Okay, so it keeps track of all kinds of history. If you haven't looked through here, it's kind of interesting. So when you check unloadable, it creates a record in sysupdate XML. I don't know why it was steered here. My notes were somewhat obscured. Sysupdate set. Okay. Sysupdate set is exactly what you think it is. It's the local update sets that you're managing. And if I look at like the default for this gift application, I can see, hey, there's a whole bunch of changes under here. There's a flow, there's dictionary entries, there's field labels. These are where your updates are captured. Most of you have gone through basic admin training, know what an update set is, and these sysupdate XML records. Well, if you check the unloadable flag on here, it says whatever I tell the fix script to do, it will capture those changes in sysupdate XML as part of the update set. Now, I'm having a hard time figuring out what the use case for this would be, and maybe I just haven't come across it yet. But if I were to, say, set a property in Studio, that's already captured in sysupdate XML. If I tell it to create a record maybe in my vehicle table, that's captured in sysupdate XML as well. So I don't know. There's other ways you can get that in there, like create application file. I don't know that I've found a good use for this. Let me just reread the document just in case I missed it. So unloadable, select the checkbox to create a custom update records. Customer update records in sysupdate XML when the fix script runs. Clear the checkbox to run upgrades without creating these records. That's the default, and that's the way I use it most of the time. Unloadable is enforced when you test the fix script. So again, I don't have a real strong use case for that because most of the things that I'm going to create are either specifically going to be in sysupdate XML because they were done without the fix script, but if I do them in the fix script, putting them in sysupdate XML doesn't make sense because then the fix script would be doing what I don't know. It doesn't seem to make sense. Okay. Flush cache is another one that we want to look at. Get my cursor back over there. Flush cache says select this checkbox, require a cache flush after the application is installed or upgraded. So if you've ever gone to System Diagnostics Database Cache, this flushes the cache. Don't do this frequently. When you set properties, it flushes the cache. You may have to clear the cache once in a while if somebody says, that update didn't work, or that something that I changed didn't work. You could try it. If you do this in production frequently, you're going to have performance problems. That's what a cache is for, is to speed up performance. And if you keep flushing the cache, you're defeating the purpose of it. I did have one colleague who got on a system and said, wow, this thing is really, really slow, because they had a running script in the background that was setting a property which flushed the cache every second. Okay, so they basically had no cache because it constantly was getting flushed. People jump on, their form reloads were taking forever. Turn that scheduled job off and it worked great. So the cache is very important for performance. Keep that in mind. And with fix scripts, you may need that if, say, you're setting a property and you have a gs.set property in your script. That's not natively going to flush the cache, but you need it to so that that property gets recognized. Okay, just something to keep in mind. Caches are good. Flush them rarely if you have to. There's also a record for rollback field hidden on the fix script form that will create rollback context similar to background scripts. Oh, interesting. I hadn't seen that before. Let's go take a look. So let me submit that. It's probably not, I didn't see that. Find rollback, not documented field. Woohoo! My favorite. Configure. Here, let's just do a show XML. Then you can see all the fields that are in there in this lovely format. And record for rollback is false. Okay, so there's a true false field. And apparently if you check that, we can then go into the rollback history and unload or roll back a fix script. I would hope that you've tested your fix scripts thoroughly enough to trust them when they get into production, but just in case something happens, you could put that in. I would really like to see that default to true. Seems like it would make more sense, like scripts background does. So maybe that's an enhancement request that you guys could configure. Thank you, Nick, for the information. Didn't see that one because it wasn't on there a little while ago. Looks like we might still be having some streaming issues. I'm seeing my little player playback spinning every once in a while. Apologies if it's skipping and jittery. I will take a look at it afterwards and upload the MP4 if we need to. Okay, let's continue on with this. I do have a script I baked earlier, not very difficult. I go and create a new glide record, do a new record so it initializes value, and we're simply going to put a value into the make, model, year, and source field. Okay, maybe your source is from a database or an import or something of that nature. Maybe it was hand typed, maybe it was putting through mobile app. I like source fields. They're kind of a neat history of where things came from. I use those particularly on imports that may also have a manual entry component. Your CMDB would be a good reason to have a source field. Discovery uses a source. So let's take that and put that into our script field. Oh, didn't finish the definition of the fields. Flush cache we talked about. Use it whenever you need to, not whenever you want to. And then there's this before field. Before, select the checkbox to run the fix script before installing the upgrade or application. Normally they run after. Again, if you had a field that was the wrong data type or you wanted to change the data model, you would first apply those updates to get the tables and fields that you wanted in there, and then it automatically runs. If you need something to run before that update happens, then you check before. Rollback is really an interesting functionality in ServiceNow. I agree. Okay. Description and script, I don't think we need to talk about those too much. They're pretty standard on a lot of these things. I am not going to run this before. Not really any need. If I go ahead and save this, I can test it on my initial instance, which is over here. Let's go back to vehicles, table, and I have no vehicles. I'm in Studio, And I can say, run fix script. Now, it gives me two choices. This may take a very, very long time, and I want it to run in the background. I can do that. Keep in mind, unlike business rules and UI actions, there is no current object. There is no nothing. Current means whatever I'm looking at, do it. There's no, if you want a list of records, you're going to have to write a glide record query to look them up. If you want to get a specific record, you're going to have to do a glide record query to get it. So keep that in mind. Your fix script can be any server-side JavaScript, which includes kicking off flows in Flow Designer. Just so keep that in mind. You could trigger an integration when you install the application. Let's go trigger this integration to get it started. I don't know if I do an integration that way and only that way, but something to keep in mind, any server-side JavaScript. Proceed means run right now, I'll wait. If it takes a long time, I'll wait. Right? That's all you're going to be doing is staring at that screen. Proceed in background obviously says, go do this in the background and tell me when you're done. This is creating one record. I think I can wait for this. So manually test it. It says, hooray, I've done what you asked. Let's go check. Ding, ding, ding. There's my 2018 Honda Accord. And open that up, and I've got the record in here as I would expect. So I'm faithful that this is working and tested in my dev environment. Now it's time to promote this up to prod. So let's do a file publish. This will be version 103, new vehicle creation. I click submit. Wait for a second or two. It's a small application. Shouldn't take that long. Unlike my larger endeavors, which can take 15 minutes to get everything all sorted out with GitHub and whatnot. Then we go over to my UAT, my company applications. Ding, ding, ding. Theoretically, I had a favorite for that, but I didn't see it in time. And down here, I've got my CLS AR fix. And if I wait a second, this becomes ungray. My head is in the way, so let me put that away. Ding, no head. I've got a choice now between 102 that's installed, 103. When I click 103, notice that I also see my little release note that I typed in here, new vehicle creation. Okay, let's undo that. Click update and install, and away we go. This should not take that long either. Now, run once was checked, unloadable was not. I'm not going to see anything special in the update sets and whatnot, but I have experimented with those just to see what was going on and where it was happening. This has been installed. If I go to the vehicle table, now if I were really looking for a way to get lots of vehicles in there, I would not do it via script. I would probably do an export XML and import XML. But you can see that script ran, and let's go to sysupdate.list, see what it says. Here is sysscript fix record, as they promised. It was released, and I'm guessing there is probably something here that says, well, just the fact that it has this sysupdate record says it was run. And that's what the run once flag is going to check against. So it tells me what was the name, when was it released and run, and away we go. We have evidence that that script ran. We also have the data that it ran. I have important note. It says, if you uncheck run once, ensure your code is smart enough to run multiple times. What do I mean by that? Well, if I were to go back into Studio and pick up my fix script and uncheck this, it would, of course, create another exact record with a different sysID, but the same field values over and over. And then I would have lots of 2018 Honda Accords. Maybe what I want, maybe what I don't want. If I uncheck that, I may need to put in here, hey, check and see if you have a 2018 Honda Accord before you go and create another one. So I may need to make this script a little bit smarter to run multiple times. I may have instances where this is true. I may have instances where this is false. I may have instances where I need lots of data. I may need instances where I only want one of each record. So if you uncheck that and you know you're going to be running this over and over, ensure you don't wind up with duplicate data that you really don't want. Kind of like doing an import again and again without a coalesce value. We'll talk about that again some other time. So that was one important note. If you want to monitor the progress, there is a way to say, boy, is that fix script ever going to finish? Or maybe it's got a bug or an infinite loop. You can find that under System Diagnostics, Progress Workers. System Diagnostics, Progress Workers, right there. I want to blow that up because this light green is a little hard to see. Not one of my favorite themes, but I like using it to differentiate demos. And if we sort by created, we've got checking store application, installation update, refreshing metadata, success, success, success. I like the exclamation point down there. These were all today. Progress worker, where is my, these were earlier today. It's going to be one of these three. I thought it was more explicit and said, hey, here's the actual worker. But as it's installing the application, I believe there is a record here for update sets when you're applying that. I don't have time to go through and build an update set for you and bring that over, but check that out as well. I have seen slightly different behaviors between the update set version and the app repo version, so look at that as well. Do we have any additional questions as I'm looking over these final notes? Did I miss anything from the documentation that was interesting? Testing it, make sure they ensure that it all works as expected. We've got the procedure for running the fix script. We did that in the foreground, in the background, that kind of thing. Progress workers. Now, see, this one specifically calls out, I'm going to be running a fix script, this particular one, but we didn't see that from the app repo side, and I suspect it's part of the whole app repo installation. This is more of a, I mean, you can tell this is an old picture just from looking at it, right? This is like UI 11 or earlier, so our docs team doesn't always go get new fresh screenshots on every release. But the you might see something like this in your progress workers where you can go in and cancel it. You could open up the record and cancel that. So very useful things, these fix scripts. Use them to create or modify data. Typically, you wouldn't do this to, say, create a property. I would do that in Studio. But maybe, just maybe, you need to set a property in prod that's different than what's in dev, kind of like that. So you can put it in a fix script, ensure that it's not prone to human error, like somebody, if you send them a text file and say, copy this and put it in script's background, they could miss a line, they could miss a semicolon, they could make a syntax error and go, hey, your script didn't run, or most of it run, but not all of it. Well, good luck now debugging that. The fix script gives you a way to put it in a package, test it in your dev instance, even, now we understand, rolling it back, so a lot more stable and secure. I've used them a number of times, again, particularly when the data model changes, field types changed. It happens, requirements change, right? Or you need two fields instead of one and you carry over a value, or you need to change from a many to many to a reference field, one to many. You get the idea. It can go in all different directions. Fix scripts are a great way to say to yourself, I need to let test and prod and everything up the food chain know about these changes and affect the data that's on there so it's accurately aligned. Great use for fix scripts. So learn them, understand them, know where to apply them, and that's going to do it for today. Thank you for joining me. I do need to take a bit of a hiatus. Again, I know we just got back from the October break. I did 2 shows, and I've got to take another break for personal reasons, but I will see you back here long about I think it's the 19th of November, so I've got to take a couple of weeks off, but I will be back with, get this, list editing. Now, you may think, gee, Chuck, I thought everybody knew that. It's as simple as, click, drag, double click. There are a lot of options that I discovered in doing this because somebody was showing me a shortcut and I went, oh, I didn't know that. And I hope you have one of those moments as well. So join me back here for the next episode on list editing, the options, the parameters, the system settings, the user preferences that go along with that. Until then, thank you, be safe, learn something new, share it, be helpful, and I will see you again real soon. Take care. Bye.